Today we'll be doing the 3-inch exhaust on the compound turbo Rodeo. So we have a heap of 3-inch bends there I want to use. We've also got flexi joint and some V-band clamps. We've got the flange just from the back of the turbo, a metre of 3-inch pipe just to get us through, and I'll join it to what I made last time. So that bit of 3-inch that went to the twin 3-inch tips, which we have one there and one there. You can see the turbo up there, and then you can see just behind it there's some melted wiring. That was from my test drive, but we on from back of the turbo, try to feed it between the gearbox and the chassis and the torsion bar, and then it'll just go around behind the transfer and down to the back to what I've already got. So we'll start on this. So this here is the flange for the back of the turbo. So I made one of those myself. That's a bit of 3-inch pipe, so obviously it's not going to sit on there very well. So I'm just going to squash this down so it matches that shape a lot better, and that's pretty much how I'm going to join these two together. So once that's squashed, it should fill that gap, and I'll just fill any gaps with a MIG, because you can really. So I've got all the dump pipe done, and it's actually linked up to the exhaust now. So as you can see, it's not easy, but that's because torsion bar's in the way. We've got to make room for the oil filter, which is there, and the front drive shaft. So it took a bit of work. It's all tricky as. A few people did tell me that 3-inch was going to be really tight to fit in here, and it was. It just misses everything. But we got it, and I just got to put a flexi joint in on that elbow somewhere, and that's about it. Weld it all up. And then it goes up to the dump, which is up in there. So that's our dump pipe and exhaust setup there that we're going to run now. So it's pretty much just welded up, and we'll put it back in the car. That's the exhaust and dump pipe done. So the dump pipe's been wrapped, and it just continues on to the original 3-inch system I had. That's split into the twins. So it'd be good to have soot out both sides. So now it's time to relocate the battery. So I'm hoping to fit it under the car somewhere. I try to fit it up in here, but it's just going to hang too low, but it hangs level with the bottom of this cross member, but that's still a fair bit below the chassis. So I might put it up in here. A nice spot in there, just fit in there perfect. Just a long way to run some cables, but I've only got to run one from positive straight to starter motor, and then I'll just earth to the chassis, and then up in the engine bay I'll put that earth into the chassis. So I've got my battery relocated. I actually fitted it behind the seat, ran the earth cable to the body, ran the power cable through the car that runs along the chassis and straight to the starter motor, which is there. So that just connects to the starter motor, and then the original starter motor cable goes around to that fuse box, which is over there. I'll show you. And then an earth cable I made, which is down there, the red one. So that just goes from the block to the body to the engine mount, so the chassis. And then, so that's the original start wire, and I've just put it straight into that box where it used to T-piece at the terminal, and hopefully that should work. So it's pretty much ready to start. So now that the compound turbo is almost complete, I have some ARP head studs, thanks to 4J Performance parts, that will fit to this Rodeo. So hopefully hold the head on and won't give us any issues with the head gaskets. But I did drive it last night. It's like proper drivable now. We were boosting 30 PSI, it goes well. I'm just playing around with the boost control between the bypass gate, so the gate that goes around the small turbo straight into the big turbo, because I've been hooking it up lots of different ways and get better, worse boost response. So I just got to play with that. But I really need a dyno to do it, but I'll try to road tune it as much as I can. For now, we'll just fit these studs and see how we go. So you can see the rocker cover's off. So you need to undo the head bolts and replace them with the studs. So that's actually one there, which was outside the rocker cover. There's one there, which was underneath the rocker cover, but then I think the rest are in underneath that rocker gear, so that's got to come off. I'm just going to do one out, one in method. So I'll pull one stud out, one head bolt out, put the stud in, torque that up, done, go to the next one. So that way I'm not relieving pressure off the head gasket, and hopefully I don't break the seal. So I've just realised the injectors have to come out because there's actually studs under the injectors as well. So you can see one under that clamp and then there's one in between them. And while doing this, I've noticed in here, I can't see it, I actually split my manifold again. So I'll be fixing that. I can still drive it, I just tuning will be shit, but I've got to redo the manifold, which I was going to redesign anyway, but I have to do it sooner. So we're just taking the Rodeo for a drive. It's been going good, but we're getting a heap of exhaust leaks around those wastegates. So being cheap Chinese $100 ones, they just leak. So I might have to change them out. We are getting boost, but since we've been driving around, it's getting worse. We're only about 15 PSI now, and you can just hear it leaking. But we're on the beach, we'll give you a few videos of it driving, and yeah. So yeah, as I said at the beach, we've got a massive exhaust leak, which is coming out one of the external gates. It's affecting boost pressure, everything, pretty much how it drives, so we've got to get that sorted. It is that gate right there. As you can see, all the boost, all the soot, really not boost, is all over it. It's all over the engine bay. I've tried pulling it off, I've sanded the surface flat, everything like that. It won't seal, it's just cheap eBay stuff. So what I'm going to do is probably pull the clamp off and actually just weld that gate to the manifold. Then it's definitely not going to leak. Because it doesn't leak anywhere else. If I need to pull anything off, I've still got this clamp I can disconnect, so it's not like I'm welding everything together. And that one, I'm still waiting for the stainless to make my screamer pipe, so I'm well, you can see that line, it's holding the gate shut, so I'm not just blowing hot gases onto my firewall and probably going to catch a fire. So we are hitting 30 psi when it was running good before it started leaking out there. And I was backing off sort of with the throttle at 30. I didn't want to just over boost it, but that was also before I had the Headstuds, so now I can just hopefully just keep going, see what it will do. Probably hit 40, but 40 will be a good number. And yeah, we'll sort that out, take it for another drive. We're probably going to split that manifold again, but that's going to get changed. It's not a worry if I split it, it'll just be an achievement really. So let's do that. Oh, also, the fuel pump's currently maxed, so as you can see, idle screw is all the way out till the arm is actually physically, this arm, physically hitting that bracket. So I could even cut that bracket if I wanted to get real dodgy. So I just wound the idle right out, and then the fuel screw, which is hiding, you can't see it, it's hiding there, that one right there. I wound that in till it idled good again. So that's basically a maxed pump is pretty much, I could almost pull that idle screw off because it's not actually touching it. Alright, so as I was pulling the gate off, which can come off now, the actual clamp broke. So that's why we lost, well, that's why we got a massive exhaust leak, is because the clamp broke and this was pretty much just not sealing and just letting all the gas out. So it's still going to get welded because I don't have another clamp, and then it'll actually never happen again. So it's going for a drive, currently doing 60, we're in 4th gear, and that's our boost. Watch this, I'll just hold my foot flat. So as you can see, it's only spiking between 20 and 25 psi, like bounces between them. Just to do with fueling, boost control, like nothing's being played with at the moment. It's just basically boost lines hooked to a wastegate. So that's what we're going to play around with now. And PGT probes in the manifold, which is why it gets real quick. So let's see how it goes when we start shooting this thing. Alright, so as you see on that drive, you're getting like 20 psi spike to 25. That's because Hal's going to run this wastegate setup to boost, well, the boost from the big turbo into this gate. So when the big turbo's on 14, it opens up, but it's not spooling the big turbo quicker than I thought, so I'm going to put the boost from the inlet manifold to this, so we'll see 14 psi a lot sooner, because it'll be the overall boost, not just the big turbo's boost. Then it should open that up real soon. We'll see how it drives then. But then the downside is it could not work as well, because we might not have enough pressure to drive the big turbo when we hit 14 psi on overall pressure. So we'll just play around with it. It's pretty much what I got to do now, just play around, find a good happy medium of where it's going to be good to drive but also pulls hard. So lots of playing around for now. Now I've got to introduce the boost tees and start bleeding off boost to get things to do different stuff. But yeah, that's there. Alright, so that's boost from inlet manifolds. That's my overall boost pressure. That's going to open this gate hopefully sooner to let the gas into the big turbo quicker, because at the moment you got to like really rev it out before the big turbo kicks in, and then by then you're hot as EGTs. And that's just running to the top of this to keep that shut, so we can see pretty much our max boost without any wastegate interference really. So we'll take that for a drive now, hopefully it makes a difference. If not, I reckon it's down to fueling. We actually don't have enough fuel to boost the big turbo, because, yeah, like I said, if you hold your foot flat and just rev it out, it starts spooling and it really wants to go. But yeah, like 750, 800 EGTs in the manifold, I don't really want to hold it there. So we'll see how it goes, and if not, pick a pump. So by putting that line boost into there off the overall pressure was exactly the same. So what I did is I just took the boost away altogether, as you can see here, and that's when we'll spool into 30 psi. Well, that's what the gauge stops at, so it probably went a lot further. So that's, now I know that's opening too soon. So if I put a bleed valve on that and sort of fine tune it, we'll be able to get it good spool, and then right at the end, well, we'll get good spool, but then we'll get a high boost, which is what we want. Because at the moment when that's connected, we can't get high boost. Disconnected, we get probably really high boost. The gauge just goes to 30 and stops. It's probably still spooling. So yeah, we'll try that bleed valve, get it to about 25, 27 psi, so I know it's not going over 30, and yeah, go from there. It's just going to be lots of trial and error, but we'll get there. Dyno would be a lot easier, but I don't have one. Alright, so I think I've got it good. We're getting 27-ish psi and it's not getting really hot, so I'll take a little drive and show you, because I'm pretty much happy with this. So I'll just show you something I've been just installing. So I've got the JRP 14-in-1 gauge. I've still got this SAS boost and EGT gauge I've got. Plus I've got this engine guard. So that is water temp, but it goes off the actual block. So it's just like a lug you screw down with a bolt and actually reads the block temperature. So if you run out of coolant, you still know the temp and it can alarm. That's the 14-in-1, so that's got my boost EGT, water temperature of the actual water, oil temp, oil pressure. They're getting hooked up with a sandwich plate, just waiting for an adapter, and intake air temp, and that'll be in the intake manifold, but it isn't right now. So that boost pressure is the overall boost, so that's what's in the intake manifold. This one, I'm still going to run the boost gauge, but it's for just the big turbo, so I know for when tuning how much work the big turbo is actually doing and when it actually kicks in. So I needed the two boost gauges to tune it, or fine tune it really. So I'm going to take it for a quick drive, see what it does. So yeah, now pretty much just got to drive the car, tune it, hopefully get it on a dyno, see what power it can make on this standard pump, maxed out. I'll probably go for a 12mm pump soon with plus 50 injectors, so aim for about over 200 horsepower, 200 I'll be stoked. Sorry about this video being a bit jumped around and I just smashed a lot of work out. That's because I just wanted to get this done on this week off of work, because my next week I'm busy and won't be able to work on the Rodeo. So smashed it all out, got it driving, I'm pretty happy with my progress. Now it's pretty much just got to be some tuning videos, power videos, some more mods I've still got to do, like change the intake plenum and all that, and continue on with building up this Rodeo. So with 2 boost gauges hooked up, I'll take you for a drive so you can just see the relation to where the small turbo, big turbo is boosting. So the JRP gauge, which will be this one, this is your small turbo boost, so we'll be watching that one there. That one's the big turbo, so that one will obviously get boost sooner, and that one will start overtaking it. So you can just watch it as we drive, it's a little bit interesting. Yeah, so I don't know if that one was flickering too much on the drive, but we're getting about 28 PSI overall boost. That's in the inlet manifold. The big turbo is getting us about 25 PSI. So what you can see, if you could see the little boost gauge, that boosts really quick and just keeps boosting to about 20, or 15, 20-ish, and then this one starts spooling, and then this just takes over and just puts boost into the little turbo and in the engine. So up high revs, we're pretty much just running off the big turbo, just pushing air straight through that little one, which is what we want. But it's just fine tuning now of getting things, big turbo kicking in earlier and all that sort of stuff, and peak boost. But waiting on a few things still to rock up, and we can get into it.